This is the last in a series of podcasts intended to help you as you and your team complete the program evaluation tool. The fourth podcast in this series is about implementation with Fidelity. Was the program or initiative implemented as intended? With this podcast, you will see that there are a series of questions to answer. The first one is, what is the evidence regarding the fidelity of the implementation of the non-negotiable or acceptable variations of the elements of the strategy, including timelines and responsibilities? I'm not even sure that was English, so here's Stephanie to help you understand what that means.
As you respond to this element, there are lots of checkboxes. These are acceptable pieces of evidence to prove that the fidelity of implementation was certainly there. If the checkboxes don't match what you have, make sure that you fill in a list of other and be specific. For this year, as you remember, the program evaluation tool is just a practice year. In the future, you will need to also be collecting this evidence and have it available in the event of an audit.
The second question asks you to show evidence regarding that fidelity.
So here you're going to respond about what the evidence shows regarding the fidelity of implementation. For instance, if your evidence that you provided is a coaching log, you'll want to look through the coaching logs to see that actual coaching happened and that there are measurable results as a part of that coaching.
The next question talks about the unintended consequences that may have occurred as a result of implementing the program.
Here again, you're going to be choosing some evidence that might show what unintended consequences are. In this case, an unintended consequence maybe means another thing that you need to study came up. For instance, if you're using a study on response to intervention or a multiple tiered system of support, let's say that you found other holes in your program that you need to fill. That would be an unintended consequence.
The next question that says, what does the evidence show regarding those unintended consequences, is where you would fill in the narrative that goes with the first question about unintended consequences. Part C asks, what do student achievement results suggest for implementing or modifying the strategy?
Here, again, you'll be marking some data points or some other evidence that you have to go along with your student achievement results that are connected to the strategy that you've decided to review.
The next question says, how might these affect the integrity of the results?
Here, you're being asked to supply some narrative information about how you have correlated your student achievement data along with the other pieces of evidence that you've chosen. And perhaps there are some mismatches. This might be a place to talk about these things.
The last question, two questions, ask you to give yourself a grade based on the evidence that you've collected in the first few questions.
The first question asks you to give sort of an overall grade. Please be sure to read each criterion. Also, please don't worry if your overall grade isn't at the top of the scale. That's not what this is about. It's about making sure that the strategies and initiatives that we're using to move our students forward academically or otherwise are actually working. No one is going to get in trouble if your program or strategy that you evaluated didn't work. The very last question asks, what action steps are needed to ensure faithful implementation of program plans? This is a narrative, basically like a report card comment for your program or strategy that you have initiated. Don't worry here, this is a great place for what I like to call the sandwich. Talk about the strengths, and in the middle, the things you'd like to improve to make your program more effective. Wrap it up with a short statement about the overall score you gave yourself and where you and your team will go forward from here.
We hope that you found this podcast helpful. Please feel free to contact any member of the district school improvement team for help as you continue this process. Thanks so much.